Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanichari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 This is our friend Lana. This is the first time she's ever been to the Hare Krishna temple. Thank you. Welcome. Welcome. Hare Krishna. Okay, we have a lot of verses today. Hare Krishna, everyone. So there are 10 verses. We'll just be taking them bit by bit. And okay, good. I think it's being shared now. So I won't be reading the Sanskrit verse in itself. I'll just directly go to the translation and the purpose because there's a lot to cover. So yes, please forgive me. Just today it won't be possible just because of the number of verses. So we're reading from Canto 10, chapter 53. We're going to be reading from verses 40 to 50. So this is verse 40, 41. Translation. Rukmini silently went out on foot to see the lotus feet of the deity Bhavani, accompanied by her mothers and girlfriends, and protected by the king's valiant soldiers, who held their upraised weapons at the ready. She simply absorbed her mind in the lotus feet of Krishna. And all the while, mridangas, conch shells, panavas, horns, and other instruments resounded. Okay. We'll just quickly do our Mangalacharan prayers. Om Jnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Pradan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhuva Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshitarine. So, welcome everyone to today's morning Bhagavatam class. Hare Krishna. I seek the blessings of everyone. This is a very, very sweet and nice pastime which is happening, one of my favorites. I mean, all the pastimes of Lord Krishna and his associates are very, very sweet and instructive at the same time. And especially, when it has, well, someone might say I'm being too bodily minded, but yes, being in a female body, if there is a pastime with a female associate of Krishna, it definitely makes it more relatable. And yes, Rukmini's pastimes are definitely one of them. So this chapter is Krishna kidnaps Rukmini. That's the name of the chapter. And it's a wonderful pastime. But kidnapping is generally considered to be a very, immoral act. Merely because of its connection with Krishna, it is not immoral, but actually the most moral. It's the most auspicious activity that has happened. Anything in connection with Krishna makes it auspicious. If it is not in connection with Krishna, nothing is auspicious. We see that Rukmini, she undergoes so many emotions. She's so anxious over her marriage with Shishupal. She's experiencing fear, pain, determination also, and so many, emotions. But because they're all for Krishna, that is why it's spiritual. There's no material tension. Any emotions that we feel, if it's not in connection with Krishna, if it's not in connection with his devotees, it has a material tinge to it. Yes, we might be worried about the world affairs or whatever it is, but in a much more broader sense, if we want to make the world a better place for Krishna, for his devotees, then yes, it's a very spiritual desire. It's an auspicious thought to have. Otherwise, it's just a mundane material desire or a mundane material thought. And that's our main priority, to connect everything to Krishna, our work, our relationships, our feelings, our emotions, lest they bind us and confuse us all the more if we don't have it in connection with Krishna. And we particularly see in verses, these two verses that we read, 40 and 41, that Rukmini, she was walking, towards a demigod, goddess Durga, to seek her blessings. But what was she thinking of? She was thinking of Krishna. She was praying to a demigod, but she was thinking of the supreme God, the supreme Lord, and because she only wanted Krishna. So like someone might say that Rukmini Devi, she's Mahalakshmi herself, but she's approaching Durga, to pray to her. But we have to see what is the end purpose of it. It was to attain Krishna. Just like the gopis in Vrindavan, they had also prayed to Katyayani Devi to have Krishna as their husband. And that is the best prayer to make, actually, to have Krishna in your life, somehow in the relationship, that in the rasa that you feel most closest to. Having him and him alone can actually make even the so-called inauspicious thing auspicious. Just like in the battlefield. In the battlefield, there is like bloodshed and there's death everywhere. But just because Krishna was present in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the whole of the Mahabharat war became a very auspicious war, and the whole ground of Kurukshetra is still till date it's considered a very auspicious ground because Krishna himself was present there. That is also the place where he spoke Bhagavad Gita, and devotees still go there today. They offer their obeisances to that wonderful, great place, the place where which has shed light on mankind for all time to come. And in this age in particular, Lord Chaitanya has told us that the most easiest way to make anything auspicious, to connect ourselves to Krishna, is by chanting his holy names. That's what will make everything auspicious. Why? Because our hearts, our minds will become auspicious. That's why the environment becomes auspicious. Why? Because it's Krishna. It's his holy names. It's the devotees who are taking his holy names with all their heart, their mind, their soul, basically. So yes, that's what we should be focused on trying to make everything auspicious just by connecting everything to Krishna. Just like how Rukmini herself is trying to do right now. She's going to pray to a demigod, but why? Because she wants to be connected to Krishna. So we'll read some more further verses. Wait, here we are. Okay. Okay. So we'll read some few more verses now and then we'll discuss them. So we're reading verses 42 and 43 now. Translation. Behind the bride followed thousands of prominent courtesans bearing various offerings and presents, along with well-adorned Brahmins' wives, singing and reciting prayers and bearing gifts of garlands, scents, clothing, and jewelry. There were also professional singers, musicians, bards, chroniclers, and heralds. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti explains that from her own quarters up to the temple of Bhavani, Rukmini went by palanquin and thus was easily protected. Only for the last 12 to 15 feet from the palace to the temple area did she go on foot, with royal bodyguards stationed outside the temple on all sides. Verse 44. Translation. Upon reaching the goddess's temple, Rukmini first washed her lotus feet and hands and then sipped water for purification. Thus sanctified and peaceful, she came into the presence of Mother Ambika. Verse 45. The older wives of Brahmanas, expert in the knowledge of rituals, led young Rukmini in offering respects to Bhavani, who appeared with her consort, Lord Bhava. Purport. According to the Acharyas, here the term Bhavanvitam indicates that in the Ambika temple visited by Rukmini, the presiding deity was the goddess, whose husband appeared in an accompanying role. Thus, the ritual was properly performed by women. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti comments that the term Vidhignya may be understood to mean that since the learned wives of Brahmins knew of Rukmini's desire to marry Krishna, the verb Vandayam Chakru thus indicates that they prompted her to pray for what she really wanted. In this way, like the goddess Bhavani, Rukmini could be united with her eternal male companion. Okay, just 1 minute. 46. Yes, we will also read this verse 46. Princess Rukmini prayed, O Mother Ambika, wife of Lord Shiva, I repeatedly offer my obeisances unto you, together with your children. May Lord Krishna become my husband. Please grant this. So, here we are seeing the wonderful prayers of Rukmini. It's just a very small prayer, but it has the crux of everything of what we should be asking and what we should be praying for. So even after all the purificatory ceremonies, Rukmini is also asked, by all the Brahmins' wives to pray to Durga for what she really wants, because everyone knows that she wants Krishna. Basically, everyone knows that. She had their support and the support of all the citizens of Vidarbha, because all the citizens, we see in the previous verses that they all had seen Krishna and they had appreciated his beauty, his qualities. And internally, they knew that, yes, Shishupal, whoever he may be, but this person, Krishna, he is the supreme personality of Godhead. And our dear Rukmini, obviously for the people of Vidarbha, Rukmini is like their child, their daughter, their friend, their sister, everything, because that's how the citizens were treated in the earlier days. You're not just the king in some big, some palace or something somewhere aloof from what your citizens want. No, the king and the family of the kings, they would go out and meet the citizens every day. They had a very special relationship with them. For them, the entire family of the main royal family was like part of their family. So definitely all the citizens wanted Rukmini to go to the best person, and they knew that the only person most suitable for her was Krishna. And even for Krishna, Rukmini was equally suitable. So, and this is also what Rukmini herself prays for. So she offers her obeisances to Durga, and then her husband, Bhava, and to her whole family, to Durga's whole family, like Ganesha, Kartikeya, everyone. And then she asks for Krishna so she could serve him. And this brings us to three things. Like three things are involved in this whole process. The first thing is the choice. We have to make an active choice to want Krishna initially, over and above anything else. And we have to form all our life decisions based on that. So we have to ask this question: what is the thing that attracts us to Krishna? For some people, it could be like, okay, the beautiful deity form of Krishna. For some, it's just chanting his holy names. For some, it's the scriptures. For some, it could even be just prasad. For the gopis, it was his beauty and his flute. For someone like Arjun, it was the strong camaraderie, friendship, and the guidance he always got from Krishna. We have to find for ourselves, what is it that attracts us to Krishna? Is it because are we praying to Krishna, or are we worshipping Krishna because we want to get some of our material desires fulfilled by him? Or is it because our soul is attracted to something more deep, like his beauty, his qualities? Our material desires will actually have no end. And Krishna, being a very loving caretaker, may not always fulfill them, especially if they don't lead us to become good devotees. So we have to make the choice to want Krishna for the right reasons. Why do I want Krishna? Why do I want to serve him? Rukmini wanted Krishna because she truly loved him and wanted to serve him. And she had just merely heard about him from saintly persons. And just by hearing about him, she had given her body, mind, soul, everything. She had dedicated it to Krishna. And because of the association of saints like Narad Muni, who would regularly come, and she would hear about Krishna from him. So just by the association of saintly persons and by hearing about Krishna, our love for Krishna will awaken. And then we will be able to make the right choice of wanting Krishna, to love him and to serve him, and not to gain something out of him or to gain something out of that service to Krishna. So that choice has to be very clear. Why do we actually want him? And then the next thing that comes is the challenges, because, well, once there is love, there is always going to be challenges, because, well, Krishna doesn't give love for him so easily. He wants to test it. He wants to know whether you really want him, or is there some, other hidden agenda or whatever it may be. And Rukmini also had to face challenges. She had to face the challenges of her own family, her own father, brothers, and to a large extent also the patriarchal system, wherein the male members of her family were deciding things for her without even asking her what she wanted. And so she had to do something really unheard of and daring, like she planned her own kidnapping, which is something completely unheard of in those times. She literally wrote a letter and told Krishna everything: come to this temple, come at this time, I'll be alone, it'll be very easy to kidnap you, and we'll be able to, go away without, too much problem. And this because she did all this planning and thing because she really wanted Krishna. And to do this also, she was taking shelter of Krishna. It's not that she's just thinking all this in her mind and, she's just determined to get out. No, even while doing this, she's continuously taking shelter of Krishna. She's thinking about him the whole time. And we also have to face so many demons, internal, external, before we can meet Krishna. We have, our society, family pressures, which are more of an external pressure, but then we have the pressures that are anarthas forced down upon us. So Rukmini wrote to Krishna and sought his help to protect her and her faith in him. And similarly, we also have to take shelter of Krishna and Guru. And the main reason is to protect our faith, in Krishna. We have to ask him only. We have to ask his help. And that is if we really want Krishna. because Krishna is waiting for us actually to turn to him. And this is what leads us to the third point, and that is our ultimate commitment to Krishna despite all the challenges. No matter what challenges came before Rukmini, she still wanted only Krishna. She made the initial choice, and then she's facing challenges. And despite that, she's still committed to him. In the same way, we see that even it didn't matter to Arjun how uneven, the army strength was between his army, between the army of the Pandavas and the army of the Kauravas. The Kauravas had like many times more people in their army. But who did Arjun actually ask for at the end of the day? He wanted only Krishna. He didn't even want the whole Narayani Sena. Just by having Narayani Sena, well, that's like an assured thing because it's Narayan himself, but he didn't even want Narayan. He wanted Krishna. So no matter, and in the same way, we also see for the gopis, they had to face such a huge challenge of ostracism, by the society and the difficulties that they would face from their own family, but still they left everything and they just wanted Krishna. And why did they want Krishna? Because again, as I said, they wanted to love him, they wanted to serve him. Because Prabhupada wanted to serve and love his Guru and Krishna, he accepted all the challenges of leaving India and spreading Krishna's holy names all over the world. And these are the challenges that only made him stronger and more committed to Krishna. We can see that. That's the nature of tests and difficulties. It just gives us more determination and commitment to wanting to get to Krishna, to go to Krishna, as long as you take it in the right spirit and not be bogged down, by the difficulties and challenges that come. So our choices need to be very much Krishna oriented. We need to face the challenges in the right spirit. And finally, we will become even more determined to obtaining the goal of our life, that is Krishna. And that's the lesson that we learn from this whole pastime of Rukmini. We will read the last few sections of, where did it go? Oh, yes, of our verses for today. Okay, we had read till 46. Okay, yes. Now we were reading verses 47, 48. Translation. Rukmini worshipped the goddess with water, scents, whole grains, incense, clothing, garlands, necklaces, jewelry, and other prescribed offerings and gifts, and also with arrays of lamps. The married Brahmin women each performs worship simultaneously with the same items, also offering savories and cakes, prepared betel nut, sacred threads, fruit, and sugarcane juice. Verse 49. Translation. The ladies gave the bride the remnants of the offerings and then blessed her. She in turn bowed down to them and the deity and accepted the remnants as prasadam. Our last verse for today, verse 50. The princess then gave up her vow of silence and left the Ambika temple, holding on to a maid servant with her hand, which was adorned with a jeweled ring. So we're now reaching kind of like the crux of the whole pastime, what it's finally leading up to, what Rukmini and we all have actually been waiting for. She's finally going to see Krishna and be united with him forever. All the pain, anxiety, doubt, whatever she's been going through right now, it has all been leading up to this moment. If you see Rukmini's journey of meeting her Lord, it's like the journey of a soul finally meeting with Krishna after lifetimes of separation. Yes, she's Krishna's internal potency, so she's never separate from him. But this whole meeting, this whole pastime is very, very symbolic, because this is in one sense we should try to place ourselves in Rukmini's shoes and try to undergo the all the emotions that she underwent, and try to imagine how it will be when we finally meet Krishna. As a conditioned soul, we have been away from Krishna for so long, we don't even know. We have been caught up in so many materialistic activities over millions and millions of lifetimes. And finally, a conditioned soul, he meets the devotees, and his dormant Krishna consciousness is awakened. He feels his connection to Krishna, to the holy names. And yet, some doubts remain, pressures are put on him to make him give up his devotional life. And yet somehow the conditioned soul perseveres and doesn't give up the devotional life at all. He faces so many challenges, and yet his faith and in Guru and Krishna keep him determined. And also the blessings of the devotees are there, without which we just can't go back to Godhead. So by the mercy of Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, everyone, we are finally, like a devotee is able to give up his all material attachments, and finally, after all the tests, all the exams, he's finally able to go back to Krishna. So can you imagine how it will be, when you will meet Krishna? Is this something that you all think about? Like, I definitely think about that sometimes. How is that moment going to be when I finally see Krishna? And maybe, just as a small exercise, maybe, we can close our eyes, just for a minute, unless someone is like driving or doing something really important right now while listening to the class. That try to imagine yourself after lifetimes and lifetimes of being away from Krishna, after all the anxiety, uh, of finally, like having a doubt that yes, after all the pain, struggle of this material world, you're finally going to go back to this beautiful spiritual world, to Goloka Vrindavan, with all his beautiful green pastures are there, sweet loving cows are there, where all the associates of Krishna are there, with open arms, trying to welcome you. They're so happy to see you. Krishna himself is there, waiting to embrace you and never wanting to let go of you again. That love, that pure love that some of us have just heard of, we're finally going to experience it. That love, that feeling that we will forever be there with him. Most of us are here serving him in different ways, but there in the spiritual world, we'll be able to serve him without any hindrances, where we can dance with him, we will be able to sing with him, we'll be able to eat with him, we'll be able to go on walks with him. Everything, like have a very, very intimate relationship with him. We'll be able to eat with him, like so many sweet things we'll be able to do with him. Everything that we're doing right now is for that. And any price we pay for that, any challenge we have to face for that, any obstacle we have to face for that right now in this material world, it's fine. Because at the end of the day, we are going to go back to Krishna. And that is all that matters. And let's not forget that. We have to go back to Krishna. That is our goal. We shouldn't get caught up in all this sometimes petty issues of this material world and lose sight of what we really want. We have to forget all the problems of our mind and body and just know that, yes, you are the real, you actually the jiva, the real you, the soul, and you want to go back to Krishna and be with him forever. Just like Rukmini is waiting and the Lord will come. The same way Lord will come for us too. We have to have faith in that it will happen. We just have to follow the instructions of Guru and Krishna and just keep in the association of devotees, and it will happen. There is no doubt about it. So I'd like to conclude this class by saying that, yes, we have so much to learn from this, this whole pastime of Rukmini meeting finally with Krishna. Time to time again, we have to hear these pastimes again because, well, I definitely get really caught up in so many petty issues or, like just leading my day-to-day life that I forget the real goal of life, and that is Krishna. Whatever we have, our skill, talent, intelligence, whatever we have, it's given to us by Krishna. We have to use it in his service. But our consciousness, most importantly, our consciousness has to be aligned to what we want. So yes, we should never forget that. So I'll end my class here, and I'm open now to any questions, comments, corrections, whatever may be there to offer to me.
Thank you,
Thank
Nandini.
you very much. Hare Krishna.
Wonderful class. Wonderful. Thank you. Jeffrey Eckler has a question.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Good
Hare
morning
Krishna.
and thank you. I was reflecting while you were reading the verses, and it's very practical and it's an observed reality for me. But when Rukmini goes into the temple of Ambika and the the other women and the other ladies kind of show her how to make the offerings. It's an interesting dynamic because it's like they're all spiritual teachers to her. It's like a communal spiritual teaching, but traditionally within kind of the Vedic paradigm, there's this idea that you have a guru, a spiritual master, and it's very pointed and directed towards one specific person. But in this instance, you see this communal teaching from the older ladies to the younger princess. It's very real and much more pragmatic than the much more pointed kind of one teacher idea, which I think is an interesting thing that's drawn out in this story. The other part that I really like is the point that you made about how she's made all of these plans, how she's really done all of this for the Lord. And it reminds me, there's a quote from Archimedes, and it's, give me a firm place to stand and a lever long enough and I can move the world. And it's almost like that's her prayer. She's taking responsibility and action, and that's I mean, how wonderful is Krishna, right? I mean, the idea that it's not just go sit and hope that somebody intervenes. It's like it's an action religion. It's a call to do what you can to get closer to God, not sit, hope, wait that God gets closer to you. Very beautiful pastime, and thank you for drawing out those interesting details. Thank you.
Thank you so much. They were very nice reflections. Yes, definitely. Especially in our movement, we definitely do stress on having shiksha gurus. As you said, like there might be one guru, like our main guru, like our main one, like we might have like a guru who's formally initiating us, who's taking a responsibility for taking us back to Godhead. But he's not alone. He or she may not be alone. We have to have other devotees also from whom we take regular guidance, who might help us on a more practical level for day-to-day problems that we face. And that is very important. That's what the role of a Shiksha Guru is. So yes, and especially for women, it is preferable if they have a senior female, a senior woman devotee guiding them, especially when it comes to spiritual life. Even in material activities, we see that's also what happens. We have senior women in the families guiding, the daughter or the daughter-in-law, as the case might be. So that's the way how tradition is continued. That's the way how guidance is given. And yes, I definitely liked your second point also very much, that bhakti is a very, very action-oriented thing to do. It's not that we just sit in one place and just hope for the best. We have to do our part also. We have to do our 50%, and the remaining 50% is the kripa or the mercy of our guru, of the devotees of Krishna finally coming in. But unless we don't take those 50 steps from our side, the other 50 steps will not come from the other side. So it definitely has to be something that we also have to work on. Thank you very much. Bhima Prabhu, yes. Oh, you're still on mute. Yes.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Wonderful class, and no better, more appropriate person to give a class than a Vaishnavi of your gentleness and understanding. And I think that it should be a delight to all of us to remember. Adi brought this back up a couple of classes back, but I think it stands repetition. That not only did Rukmini call upon Krishna in the form of a letter expressing her absolute surrender to her attraction of him. She used the word shameless, but that, and here's a wild part of this pastime, and part of this, as Jeffrey Ackler said, and as you said, part of the action, part of the raison d'etre, as the French say, of that particular wonderful romantic drama of being literally swept off her feet and on the cart. Now, ready for this? When they were reading this part of Krishna book to Prabhupada, twice Prabhupada was said to exclaim that Rukmini did not simply just stand passive on the back of the cart being swept away, but she grabbed the quiver and arrows and shot and fired arrows at their pursuers. So Krishna's the charioteer as Arjun, and Rukmini, Prabhupada said, engaged in warfare in keeping the other suitors and warriors at bay. So she was a Kshatriya princess. So talk about action. So I feel like this is an object lesson for ourselves, that even though we surrender ourselves to Krishna, and that by, as you said, kripa, of the mercy of Krishna, he comes and sweeps us off our feet in that special sublime way that he does from the inside, that we also have to stand and fight against our past doubts, against the pursuit of the material world, against our mind. They will all pursue us. To this day, 40 years later, I still have the same thing shooting through coming at me from my head, to try to get in the way of that total surrender. And unless we always consistently, unmotivatedly and uninterruptedly engage in this warfare with Krishna to help quell our doubts, Prabhupada says, or in the Bhagavad Gita says, there is neither happiness in this world nor the next world for one who doubts. So we could see it just comes to a point where we say, you know what, I've heard enough, I've seen enough of the devotees. They're all so wonderful, they're all so intelligent. The process itself is so beautiful, chanting, dancing, and feasting. Krishna is the reservoir of beauty, so how can he not be what I truly want? All these things are there to quell our doubts, to make a reason, the why, the WHY, the why behind what we do. And we sort of allow Krishna to bring us aboard his chariot and take us. We always are informed, and I'll end this here, we're always informed that Prabhupada says that we get back to Godhead by grace, not by our own endeavor. But we do still have to turn and fight against that, all our material conditioning. So thank you very much, Prabhuji. That was a wonderful class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, our whole spiritual life is a test of our patience also. Like so many years go by, we don't see changes within us that we want to see. Or like after some point in time, we really want to see something, like we want to reach, the stage of bhava where, we can have glimpses of Krishna or something, like something, always looking for something higher. And it may not come so easily. Because bhava is also a very high stage, like anartha nivritti in itself takes like so many lifetimes, if we do it properly. So whole spiritual life is based on utsaha, nishchay, dhairya. These qualities are very nicely exemplified also by Rukmini. She was enthusiastic about wanting to meet with Krishna. She was determined, and yet at the same time she also was patient. Also, like she's getting she's getting anxious the whole time, but now she knows that now is the time when I'm finally going to see Krishna. So yeah, we have to be patient, and we have to just keep following the process. Thank you so much for raising that point. Yes, anyone else would like to share anything? Prabhu? Yes, okay. Adi Purush Prabhu would like to share something.
Followed by Damodar Priya. 3 minutes, okay?
I thought so.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I thought so.
Anyway, fantastic class.
I will mention them.
Very sweet. Vasudeva Prabhu mentioned that Rukmini was driving the chariot.
Yeah, she was not shooting the
She
animal.
jumped on the chariot. She wasn't just picked up and put on the chariot. She jumped on, she jumped and began to drive the chariot. She was very active. One way or another, we don't know all the details, but the subject matter of a girl, like you mentioned, just turning her whole life to the Lord and being satisfied and thrilled and, experience fulfillment in that giving of herself entirely to pleasing the Lord. We have in our society now, this is in the case of a marriage. She was married to Krishna. We have in our society now a society where most of the marriages are broken. Most of them, especially in New York City. Many people don't even try to get married because they don't know how to do it. They have no hope that they'll be able to live peacefully with another person. If you go to the grammar school right over here, a block and a half away, you go to the second grade, the children are 8 years old. And if you ask a whole class full of children, how many of you, your father slept in the same house where you slept last night? Most of them will say, no, he wasn't there, right? They can't keep together in a relationship, even, long enough for the children to be 8 years old, So that's like a terrible crisis that we have in our society. And based on leaving God out of the relationship. We have to try a physical relationship, an intellectual relationship, an emotional relationship, but it's not based on faith and going closer to God and serving the Lord. And then somehow or other, because of the lack of that component, the relationships don't endure. And it's so sad that as a society, we've lost the vision of how to do it properly. But Scripture says this is totally possible. Anybody in a celibate monastic situation or in a marriage situation with children, anyone can give themselves totally to the service of God, and that status will be perfected. Interesting point. Maybe we're praying to Prabhupada with to contribute to help that will enhance the presentation. Okay, over to show Prabhupada.
Thank you, Adi Purush. Damodar Priya, would you like to say something quickly before the darshan?
Yeah, I think we're going to have darshan. I was going to speak to the importance of Vaishnavis having each other's association. So, and I just to speak to Adi Purusha Prabhu's point, I think it's Kali Yuga. So even sometimes with God in the center, marriages can be broken. There's so many examples of Srila Prabhupada disciples who were put together by Prabhupada who, because of either a mental illness or abuse or other circumstances, couldn't stay together.
I just have to interrupt for a minute. We just have darshan happening right now.
Shri Shirana Muladhara Ki Jai. Get ready to be seen by the Lord, dear devotees. Jai Shishirana Muridhar Shigur Chandra Ki Jai. Nandini, Radhika, would you like to stay with us for the afterglow?
Yes, I wouldn't mind.
Okay.
Okay, wait, I'll just on the back of the temple.
Okay. Damodar Priya, wonderful point. Yeah, nothing disqualifies anyone from bhakti, not even a divorce. So that's all right. Things happen. It's life. Those things happen. What can you do? Nandini, Radhika, would you like to respond to that?
I'm sorry, I was not able to hear what she said because the conch was blowing at that time. If she would like to just repeat like the gist of it, sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, what I was saying was just I was trying to kind of just have us be a little bit more compassionate and understanding about the fact that we're in Kali Yuga, and right now even people who maybe in the movement have trouble, keeping their marriages together. And then I put the point of that they were disciples of Srila Prabhupada that he put together for marriage, who ended up having to separate because there was either abuse or there was mental illness, or there were other reasons why they couldn't stay together. So I just was, I guess, entreating us all to kind of keep in mind to be compassionate to others and to compassionate to ourselves, because there's a lot of us who have been through divorce, who are doing the best that we can to either with a new relationship or without, to still connect to Krishna. And then it's important for us to be compassionate to ourselves and to others, and to understand that in Kali Yuga, it's very, very difficult to have those kind of stable Krishna conscious relationships and marriages. So that was my point. Thank you.
Yes, that's definitely a very important point. Like, just because we are practicing devotees, we shouldn't forget the human element in everyone. At the end of the day, we all are humans, and we all are getting treated in one sense through bhakti, and the treatment is still going on. It's not that, just because we are coming regularly, or just because, yes, chanting everything is something that's purifying, but it's different for different people. For some people, they're just ready for it, to take it to the next level very soon, but everyone has their pace. And yes, devotional life also works in different people's lives at a different pace. So yeah, as you mentioned, Kali Yuga is there. We have to learn to live with it. But at the end of the day, we just have to also realize that whatever is happening for our benefit. It's our past karmas. Not that we just rely on that and not do anything about it. If we have to get out of some abusive relationships or something, we have to try our best to do that, because the more peaceful we are, the more we'll be able to focus on our spiritual life. So if our focus is ultimately on our spiritual life, we should do what is required for that. At the end of the day, that's a very good parameter to keep. Is whatever you're doing taking you closer to Krishna? Is it taking you closer to the association of devotees, to the ultimate goal of life? If not, then do something about it. And if yes, then just keep going ahead doing that. So yes, that's maybe a good way to check where you're going, and how soon you're going to reach your goal.
Thank you. Yeah, Kali Yuga is not a license for being irresponsible, reckless. Always think twice, pray, consult with other devotees before doing anything. And then being detached from the fruit is very helpful.
Yes.
Dima Prabhu, you have your hand raised? Just one quick comment, and then we'll go practice what we just learned from Nandini Radhika.
Haribol, can I be heard? I'm sort of out in
Yes.
the paddock. Okay, as you will see here, oh, I can't believe I caught him. Unbelievable. This pony is virtually impossible to catch because he comes from an abusive background. And so we, in this Kali Yuga and in relationships, we all have our conditioning to be fearful. And it's important to find a relationship with someone who's compatible with us. And according to our philosophy, according to the way that Prabhupada taught us how to have a successful marriage, is that our compatibility is based upon our commitment to Krishna and to each other. It is not about pursuing happiness or pursuing someone who will fulfill our needs. Like as I approach this pony here now, managed to mesmerize him and get his halter off, he keeps running away from me. And that's what happiness will do if we try to pursue happiness. That's the big joke of the Declaration of Independence. Having the freedom to pursue happiness. Notice they say not to gain, but to pursue happiness. So if we stop pursuing happiness for ourselves and think about making Krishna, Guru, and our partner happy first, then we will never have a problem in domestic life. If we pursue the happiness of Krishna, Guru, and our partner, then we will never find ourselves at a lack in the proper way to take care of the person. For men, it will be, or whoever our partner is that we've committed to, that person has been brought to us, and we always have to remember that, by Krishna. Krishna has given that person to you. And if you see it that way and realize that when you commit an offense against that person, you're committing Vaishnava aparad, which is the worst thing you can possibly do, then you'll think twice about doing the wrong thing at the wrong time. It's all a matter of attitude and not being fearful anymore. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Bhima Prabhu.
Yes, thank you. It's a very relevant and important. Thank you.
Okay, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Nandini, thank you very much, dear devotees. Have a wonderful Friday. Happy Friday to all of you. We made it. Come again tomorrow. Tomorrow is another day in Lord Chaitanya's movement. And don't forget, Srimad Bhagavatam is always available, and you don't have to die to see Krishna and experience Krishna in your life. Right, Nandini Radhika, is that okay? Or death is necessary?
Yes, definitely. We should be experiencing Krishna right now if you want to go ahead.
Okay.
We have to experience him on a day-to-day basis.
Good.
Thank
Wonderful.
you.
Thank
Srila
you.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare
Prabhupada
Krishna.
ki jai. Hare Krishna.